Hi, everyone, and welcome to Talk About It Tuesday. My name is Angelica, and this is Improv. Today we have an awesome guest. It's Austin Madison. Hi, Austin. How you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Pretty good. And where are we at right now? Where are you?
I am in Leander, Texas, about an hour south of where I work at Fort Hood for the U.S. Army. So, yeah, this is where I live with my lovely girlfriend. And it's a fine day here in Texas. I hope the weather is fine where you are.
It is quite fine at Florida, so we have greenery. What tell us about yourself? Tell us what you do.
So, I am a tanker in the
Oh,
United States Army. I've spent the last 7 months in basic training and training on tanks, learning how to maintain tanks, how to drive tanks, the loader station, how to shoot tanks, and everything of that nature. And I got stationed here at Fort Hood. I've been at Fort Hood for a little over a month now, so I'm
wow.
brand new to the the whole business of the Army. But so far, I love it, and it's been amazing. My lovely girlfriend was able to come out to town
Oh, nice.
with me, and it's been wonderful so far. So I'm excited for the future. So I'll be here for the next 3 years,
Oh,
not including deployments and things of that nature.
very cool. And how often would you be deployed?
It just depends. It's all situation dependent. There's a lot of rotations go on in places like Korea or Romania, but it's all needs of the army. So, yeah,
Yeah, whatever they need, there you are.
exactly
What-
correct.
Cool.
Yeah.
And you have a background in the arts. Can you tell us a little bit about how you started there and where it led you, your journey?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So when I was like a little bit, when I was like knee high to a duck, I was very shy. Like my mom said, I spent the first 7 years of my life with my nose in the side of her skirt because I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want to have anything to do with anybody. So my mom got me involved in choir initially, just to kind of get me out of my shell a little bit, and it worked. I did theater when I did like a theater show when I was in like the second grade, and then I started doing it heavy when I was in high school, my sophomore year, all the way on till after I graduated college. I was doing theater and everything like that, and so that was a lot of fun. I loved doing theater, but liked I remember doing a show once where it was a comedy, and I hated doing the show because I could feel how funny the writer thought they were, and it was not very funny at all. And I was like, why don't I just write my own stuff? So that's when I started getting involved in like improv and started doing stand up, because I was like, this is a lot more fun, sink or swim, if I do it on my own. Like if I have a great joke, that makes me feel better because I wrote that joke. If I had a terrible joke, that's okay because I can't shift that blame onto somebody else. So it's like, okay, I have personal growth to do here. So that's kind of how I got started, was initially just to get out of my shell of um, being shy. I remember in high school, my freshman year, I didn't know anybody because it was a brand new school. I was on the wrestling team because one of my best friends was also on the wrestling team. And I was the worst wrestler on the planet. And I wrestled 11 matches and I lost all of them. And
Oh,
then the next year, I auditioned for a show, and I was like, wow, running around telling jokes is a lot more fun than getting thrown around and losing matches all the time.
yeah.
So that's how I got into it. And then I got a chance to do Second City's improv class
Mhm.
6 years ago, which is where you and I met.
Yeah.
So that was a great week. Yes, your lovely mother and your sister took us all out to dinner that one night. It was incredible. I remember I showed up and I was wearing a Breaking Bad t-shirt. They were like, "We're going to the teacher jam." And she was like, "Let's go to this steakhouse." And I was like, "I'm wearing a Breaking Bad t-shirt, but let's see how this goes."
It was great. all I remember is the food. So.
Oh yeah, it was truly remarkable. And I'm still friends with everybody who we were in class with on Facebook and Instagram and all that stuff. So
yeah, it's pretty cool how not every day, but we kept in touch, and it was
oh yeah,
a pretty
100%.
solid group. Yeah.
Yeah, Kevin, the teacher Kevin still messages me every once in a while. So.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, he came down here a little while ago.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah, and we interviewed him here as well.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Good old Kevin.
Good old Kevin. And what did you do after the class, after your second city?
So after Second City, I was 20, so I was still in college. So I went to college, graduated in 2016. Then I moved to New York to do production and pursue stand-up comedy. And I ended up working at this production company, and they got bought out by Discovery, and they just fired everybody in the video department as part of the layoffs. And then I went to go work in restaurants, and I came to like this point where I was like, I moved to New York to do production and comedy, and I've done very little of both. So, I might as well try my luck in a new city. So I moved down to Atlanta because they have got a booming production scene. Mm-hmm. And I ended up getting a job as the stage manager for the Harlem Globetrotters. So I was still able to work in production and work in comedy and do all those things, and got to travel with, the most famous basketball team of all time, and that was absolutely wonderful. And then, that's a really, really fun lifestyle. But, I wanted to do this Army thing before it was too late for me to do something I've always really wanted to do. So that's kind of the short version of it. But, if I didn't do Second City and didn't do that improv, a lot of that like theatrical type stuff and that sort of thing, I don't know if I would have had the confidence to really, stay in New York. It would have been super easy just to move back to Virginia and stay in my parents', basement. But I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. That's not why I left home in the first place, was just to move back. And, working with the Globetrotters and working with various people, you got to set up, meet and greet spots. And then 5 seconds before your meet and greet is supposed to happen, they say that room's no longer available. So you got to like think quick on your feet and be like, okay, how do I solve this? So improv really, really helped that, because it's you're in a scene and you gotta do something. So you gotta apply what you learned, even at a subconscious level. It's like I've done this before in very interesting ways. So let's see how I can finagle this, myself.
Yeah.
So
you have to be able to be finagled. Definitely. Yeah.
Welcome to weird applications of improv.
And one thing that was really cool about taking class with you is that you really introduced me, at least, to the broader history and the kind of the mechanics of improv. I didn't know before going to Second City how much there was to really learn, but you were always like super interested. We both took notes during class, and I remember you bought the Second City book, one of the books about the history, and you were just all about it. You were already reading it during class and just bringing this information in, and it was totally different than what I thought, which was going into Second City. I had done improv before, but it was more of, this is fun, this is an improv jam, or this is something to use as a rehearsal tool. So thank you for that. That Absolutely. Changed the game for me in a lot of ways.
Well, I'm glad I can be memorable in some sort of way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
I just remember my girlfriend makes fun of me because she says I'm an old man because I read all these random facts about subjects, and she's just like, why do you know that? But I just remember about just being like, I just like reading, and my dad is one of those guys where he'll like read something like a book, like to the point you don't even have to read the book, because he'll just tell you all the facts.
Wow.
From So I'm kind of the same way in that. So I'm sure I was very very annoying during that week. But
Not
you
at all.
know, oh okay, good. I'm
Yeah,
glad.
you were solid. Yeah.
Yeah, you and I think had some really good exercise and scenes in that, because you were very willing to jump into the process, if that makes sense. Like I remember like a lot of guys I did improv with before, they were just like scared to jump in, but you were always like, yeah, let's do this. I'm in like 100%, and or I'm not in at all. So you were wonderful at being all in, and as you can tell, you're still rocking. You have your own damn business now with doing improv. So as we say in the military, full send or no send. So full sent it. I like it.
Nice. I like that term. Full send, no send. Very, yeah, binary. I like it.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna do something, but don't do it.
And what in the past, like what improv games, what techniques did anything like stick to you? Was anything your favorite? Even in other forms of art, anything stick out to you?
I always remember what Kevin told us about playing to the height of your intelligence.
Okay, yeah.
Like he did a Kiandra and I were just talking about this the TV show Community. No matter how ridiculous the setup of whatever they're talking about is, everybody takes it the most serious that could be. So like that's when I think the funniest stuff is. But like I remember that happening in the Globetrotters as well. Like moms will come up and start, like acting like they're like freaking out over this, that, and the other. And I have as much information as they do at that point about this venue. I have never been there either, but that's not going to calm anybody down in a situation. So you just play to what you know, and you're like, yeah, so yeah, I know this, I know how to do it. Let me just go and run with it. And that has gotten me out of a lot of jams in the past. I remember I had a game. There was a woman who came in with a group who was a dance group. And she says, oh, I've got 50 some odd kids. Usually that means they're like from the ages of like 7 to 14, they're pretty competent at this point. But this was an entire group of preschoolers. So now I have 75 preschoolers that I have to try to corral by myself and like 3 other people. So it's like, okay, you got to, if you don't know what you're doing, you got to act like you know what you're doing, so everybody else around you doesn't completely freak out. But we survived, and they did very well. And yeah, it was a fun time.
I'm glad you kept the kids alive. That's awesome.
That's the metric for a good day.
Keeping all the kids alive. Good day.
Correct.
And you talked about how you brought improv into the Globetrotters, and how working with them you brought in those skills. And now do you find you bring in different skills into working where you work now? Or just day to day?
It kind of depends. When I was in basic training, I was one of 2 guys who went to college in there. I'm not trying to say anything negative about the guys who I went with. My dad was a science teacher. My mom was an elementary school teacher. So I grew up knowing all these weird random facts about just stuff I had really no interest in when I was a child, but now I'm, in love with at this point. So on Sundays, it's a non-training day. You don't do anything. So we're literally just sitting in the bay, which is just a giant room that we sleep in, and we're just doing nothing. We're just doing nothing at all, and it's just terrible. It's like we'd rather be training than just doing nothing. So our platoon name was the Devil's Rejects. So on Sundays, I would teach a class called Occam's Rejects, which is based on the problem-solving theory of Occam's razor.
Yeah.
And what we would do is we take conspiracy theories and then apply practical problem-solving and reasoning and science to them, and talk about why it would be valid or invalid for these reasons. So in that, it's like you come up with a base idea, And so you come up with something like dinosaurs, for example, and there's a conspiracy theory that they weren't real. But then you say, okay, how the hell do I improv this for an hour, with 7 guys who may not have ever heard of this conspiracy theory or don't know much about dinosaurs.
Yeah.
But, you play to your height of your intelligence of, okay, I've seen, I have seen Jurassic Park, and I know they have seen Jurassic Park as well. So let's relate to this first, and then where can I go from there? So doing improv makes your brain make connections in ways that you wouldn't necessarily have planned. But Occam's Rejects was probably my favorite part of doing that. I remember one time we were doing a class on the Bermuda Triangle, and somehow it turned from the Bermuda Triangle into a entire class on Disney Pixar character theories. And I was like, this is something I know nothing about, but I want to know a lot about. So I learned all sorts of theories on how Tarzan is actually the sister of Elsa, or the brother of Elsa and Anna. And I was like, this is fun. I originally started talking about this, but somehow we're here. So we yes-anded all the way until Disney Pixar characters, conspiracy theories. But
wow,
not bad. Yeah.
It sounds like a great class.
It was fun. It was a fun time. So, it's like I may know a lot about, dinosaurs, but I know nothing about cars. So another guy in our platoon knew everything there was to know about cars, but didn't know anything about, gravitational pulls of black holes. So you feed off of each other in that kind of way, in the exact same way you do in an improv scene.
That's so cool. That's such a nice relation, because just like in an improv group, you have so many people who have so many different backgrounds, and you might think something's general knowledge, but based off of where you are demographically, where you like how you were raised, your environment generally, or whether or not you have a Netflix account, let's say,
right. Exactly.
It drastically could change what different people's perceptions are, and you have to find a way to work together. And it's so cool that you could create a class where you did exactly that. That's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Sometimes we would start at like 1800 or 6 p.m. and we wouldn't stop until like 8:30 when our final formation was. We're like, crap, we got to finish now. So, sorry, we're a little late to the game, and it would start off as one thing and then end in a completely different hemisphere from when it started. But yeah, that was why it was a lot of fun. We weren't being graded on any of it, so it didn't really matter to me.
Yeah, when you're not being graded on something, it really helps have fun. Yeah. And we are just about done with the interview, but before we go, most important question of all, what is something about you that no one could tell about you just by looking at you?
Oh God, see, this is an interesting question, because I feel like if you look at me, you're like, I bet that guy watches all of the Back to the Future movies every weekend, which is not untrue, but it's not entirely accurate. Wouldn't know about me just by looking at me.
Mm-hmm. It could be anything.
Would it be acceptable to get my girlfriend in on this?
Sure. Yeah.
Baby.
Okay. Before I repropose the question, Austin, can you introduce your wonderful girlfriend who's going to answer the question for you?
Anyway, this is my wonderful girlfriend, Kiandra Jacole Brady.
Wow.
With a J.
It's true.
And we met in Atlanta. I tell people we met at a prayer group, but we actually met online. And she came from Atlanta to move to Texas with me.
Very cool.
She's the most wonderful woman I've ever met on the planet. And she is a public relations professional.
That's a pretty good intro.
Wow, thanks.
So now that we've been properly introduced, very nice to meet you. I've heard amazing things, and this is a real pleasure.
If I could blush, I would be.
Okay, are you ready for the question? You can answer as honestly as you want.
Okay, lay it on me.
What is something about Austin that we couldn't tell about him just by looking at him?
Okay, well, there are a handful of things. Okay.
I mean,
no,
you could tell us all the secrets.
I mean, I'm trying to think. I'm like, what are the most quintessential Austin things? And my mind immediately goes to he's obsessed with coffee, but I feel like he gives a coffee vibe. So that one, maybe not. I was going to say something about his I'm going to use the word obsessed a lot here, but I was also going to say something about his obsession with The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings. But he's wearing a t-shirt right now, so that kind of gives that away.
Yeah, that would be out of bounds.
I think that something that you're not going to get, at least not until you start to have more conversations with him, is Austin is always thinking about scenarios and what is happening in a scenario. And maybe that's improv based now that I'm saying it out loud, but he's always thinking about like what is going on in a room and where are the people and who's talking and what are the stories that are happening or what are things that I can play off of in this room. But I think that also happens in conversation. Like it's funny because sometimes you can hear, like he'll start on a topic and he'll have maybe 3 directions plotted out that the conversation could go. And depending on how you respond, he's like, okay. And you can see him like switch gears into, okay, we're going to take this path or we're going to head down route number 3. And that is something that I think is really fascinating about being so close to him or like seeing him in action in conversation. He really likes the Washington football team so much so. Have you told him about your best friend?
No.
My best friend. No.
He's right here.
No. Oh yeah, this is my best friend, Jacoby. He has been with me for 8 years now, I think, somewhere around there.
Oh my gosh.
He's like the ultimate road trip buddy. Like he's been in New York, he's been in Virginia, he's been in Georgia, and now here in Texas. And those are probably some things. I feel like I have more, but I get into like a gray area of things.
Those are great things. I learned a lot today.
That's awesome.
Thanks. This has been splendid.
Splendid is one of my favorite words, but that's also very true. I let you guys go back to chatting and I can stop interrupting.
Not an interruption, and I'm glad I learned something about you today. Splendid, favorite word. It was nice meeting you.
You too.
She used to work on the road like I did, Globetrotters, but doing something different. And I was doing a game in Texarkana, Arkansas. And I was staying in Texarkana, Texas. And she just so happened to be in Texarkana, Texas, staying at the same hotel, 1 floor above me at the same time.
No way.
If you have a video on statistics, I would be very interested in seeing such a thing.
Wow. That's like, that's straight from When Harry Met Sally type of story.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
That's
Well, thank you so much, Austin. It's been so much fun talking to you and catching up with you today. And thank you everyone for watching this Talk About It Tuesday. My name is Angelica Zadak with This is Improv, and this has been Austin Madison. And while you're here, make sure to look below. We have some links of things going on in the area and ways that you can help out. If you have anything to add to this list of links, make sure to email us at info@thisisimprov.com. Make sure to also subscribe so you see these videos every week. And thank you again for watching. Thank you so much, Austin. Have a great day. Goodbye.
Have a good one. Bye.